This is my ranking of the top 5 scenes from the Rise of Skywalker. At number 5, we have the opening scene and Kylo meeting the Emperor. I would say this movie has the second best opening of any Star Wars movie behind Revenge of the Sith. I feel like at any time I can just turn on the first 20 seconds and watch it on loop. Something about how loud Kylo's theme is and how it is mixed with him slaughtering locals is entertaining as hell to watch. One funny thing I got confused the first time I watched it was that in this shot it looks like he is straight up holding the blade, but I forgot it was probably just the crossguard. I love the transition of the Wayfinder to him flying in space and how sinister everything feels. Exegol is such an amusing planet for me to look at, and I can't help but enjoy most scenes that take place on this planet. Now, it should be said that I do dislike and straight up loathe some of the lore decisions that are revealed in this opening scene. I'm not a big fan of the way Palpatine's return was handled, and the Sith fleet is my least favorite concept in all of Star Wars. But the movie has been out now for like 7 months, and I've learned to deal with those things. It doesn't bother me anymore, and I've accepted them as part of the story regardless of how much I may or may not like it. I think that's the healthiest way to handle aspects of a story you don't like. But all that aside, I do love how ominous this scene is. Palpatine's voice and lines are just so quotable that I can't help but enjoy listening to it every time. Another small detail, but when it gets really quiet when Palpatine says everything, it always sends chills down my spine. This scene overall is just too entertaining for me to not put on my list. Before I continue on with number 4, don't forget to go vote for your 5 favorite scenes from the sequel trilogy. I will be accepting votes up until Saturday, July 25th. On Sunday the 26th, I will be revealing the top 20 scenes that you, the fans, have voted on. So everyone, please go pause this video and vote in that poll. It would really mean the world to me. Thank you so much, and let's get on with the ranking. At number 4, we have Rey vs. Kylo Ren on the Death Star 2, along with Leia's death. Just like the opening scene, this scene is just too entertaining for me to not put on this list. While this isn't my favorite lightsaber fight in the series, I do love so many things about it. The location is great, the waves of the water are a nice foil to the lava in Revenge of the Sith. A lot of little things during this fight are so cool as well, like the sounds of the lightsabers when Rey or Kylo Ren are freezing the other person. I would say my favorite aspect of the actual fight is the irony of how angry Rey is and how calm Kylo is. Rey is clearly the aggressor during this fight, which is quite unique considering most of the time it's the villain who initiates the fight. Also, you don't know how happy I was to see Kylo Ren basically win this fight. For 4 years, I've been telling people that Kylo lost in The Force Awakens because he was emotionally compromised, and that if Kylo was healthy, he would have won that fight. In The Rise of Skywalker, not only is Kylo healthy, but Rey is significantly stronger. I feel so validated seeing Kylo beat a Rey that is so much stronger than she was in The Force Awakens. But my favorite part of this fight is Leia's death. The way she gave every energy of her life just to reach out to Ben one last time is such a beautiful thing to watch. Now, this was just my interpretation, but I always felt that in that moment, that regardless of everything that Kylo did, he felt that his mother still loved him. If it weren't for that, then he would have never been redeemed. Seeing the power of family in Star Wars is always my favorite thing about the series, and this scene was no exception. At number 3, we have Rey on Tatooine and adopting the name Skywalker. I literally have no reason why, but when I saw Rey on Tatooine for the first time, and the soft way Rey's theme was playing, it made me really emotional. People say all the time that it makes no sense that Rey would go here, but I don't agree or particularly care. I'm a sucker for those stories where it ended where it all began, and this is just that. Now, the most talked about aspect of this scene is Rey taking the name Skywalker. People say she should have taken the name Palpatine or Organa or just stayed Rey. But for me, taking on the name Skywalker made the most amount of sense for the character. Rey has been on a 3-movie-long journey of finding belonging. She's been so insecure about her parents and her grandfather that it's pretty much ruined her life. Rey may have been with the Resistance for the better part of a year, but it always seemed like she never really belonged there. She always talked about how alone she was or how nobody really knows her. Rey has pretty much been a loner her whole life, but at the end of her first journey, she finally finds that belonging and takes the name Skywalker. To me, this isn't so much about her wanting to be adopted by the family as much as her choosing a name that means something. The Skywalker legacy will always be about love, sacrifice, and redemption, even if two members became evil. Rey taking on the name Skywalker is symbolic of her wanting to live a life by those ideals. I can also see this as the start of other orphan children taking on that name too. If we ever get stories that take place after the Rise of Skywalker, I think it would be really powerful if other Jedi in her academy that were orphans or had no last name take on the name Skywalker as well. It would be a way for these children to feel like they are part of a family, one that will always love and support one another. Again, it's the theme of family that is the core of my love for Star Wars, and this is just another great example of that. At number 2, we have Rey hearing all the voices of the Jedi and her defeating Palpatine. Now, I love this scene for a few of the same reasons I mentioned in the previous one. Rey has always felt alone her whole life. She feels like no one understands her, she doesn't feel worthy of being a Jedi, and she feels like she can't even trust herself. Mentally, she's probably at her lowest point in the trilogy. Earlier in the movie, she asked the Jedi for help, but no one answered. Now, when all hope seems to be lost and she has been defeated, the voices of the Jedi of the past are all there for her. They give her the assurance that she needs. They tell her that they are there for her, that they will be with her, and that she can do this, and that the Force will be with her. The thought of someone who has felt so alone her whole life being told how all these important people will be with her is so powerful. And when she finally stands up, she faces the man that is the cause of all her problems and all her insecurities, and she's able to use his own hatred against him, giving every ounce of her life to save the galaxy. The thematic importance of this scene is too beautiful for me to not love it, and that's why it's at number 2. And to no surprise, at number 1 we have the redemption of Ben Solo. Just some insight into my life before I started the Goldman, I read all the leaks of the Rise of Skywalker, and the concept of this scene sounded so stupid to me. Seeing Han Solo just appear and redeem Ben felt way too silly, but after watching the movie, it easily became my favorite scene of the movie. People say this scene is stupid because Kylo Ren basically forgave himself, but that is honestly really realistic. Ben felt tremendous guilt after killing his father, and he couldn't forgive himself, and he probably wished he had a second chance to do it all over again, and this time he could tell his father that he loved him. This is what Ben gets here, that second chance to do what's right. Every word that came out of Han's mouth just felt so right to me. Had Carrie Fisher been alive, I'd like to think that this would have been her scene, but I still love what we got. Redemption is a huge theme in Star Wars for me, and this was a great example of that. And that is my ranking of the top 5 scenes from the Rise of Skywalker. In 3 days, I will be releasing your choice for the top 20 scenes in the entire trilogy, so go check out that video if you're watching this after that video is released. I also made a ranking video of my top 5 scenes from The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, so go check out those too. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.